Okay, delegates, can you take your seats, please? Delegates, can I call Congress to order? That means please take your seats. Thank you. I hope you've had a good lunchtime, enjoyed the sunshine, gone to some fringe events. I will now ask Karen Dudley to move Standing Orders Committee report number 2. Thank you, Karen.
President Congress, Karen Dudley, Standing Orders Committee Chair, moving SOC report number 2. Withdrawn motions. That the SOC has been informed that the following motions have been withdrawn. Motion 1, banner ceremony song from Southern Region. Motion 8, GMB offices vehicle branding from North East Yorkshire and Humber Region. Motion 45, Union Learning Fund from North East Yorkshire and Humber Region. Motion 103, Right to Strike from North East Yorkshire and Humber Region. Motion 105, Minimum Service Levels from London Region. Motion 106, Minimal Service Legislation Act from North East Yorkshire and Humber Region. Motion 123, feasibility scoping study into the regulation of postal delivery services. Motion 130, bring our security services into public control from London Region. Motion 146, ending 39-week contracts for school support staff from London Region. Number 147, National Send campaign from North East Yorkshire and Humber Region. Motion 167, fully funded pay award from London Region. Motion 178, GMB policy on EU trade from London Region. Motion 183, immigration, citizenship and asylum from London Region. And we will circulate the full list in writing to you all. Bucket collections. The SOC has agreed 2 requests for bucket collections as follows. From North East Yorkshire and Humber Region for the Rob Burrow MND charity, the SOC recommends that this takes place at the close of Monday morning session. From London Region for Bliss, Baby Life Support Systems, the SOC recommends that this takes place at the close of Tuesday morning session. We would ask those carrying out the collections to adopt an appropriate COVID-safe method in which to do so. President, Congress, I formally move adoption of support number 2.
Thank you, Karen. Is anybody opposed to what Karen's just said? No, in that case, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of SOC report number 2, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? Thank you, Karen. We're going to start our afternoon session off today with the first of our regional success videos, and this being from our Midlands region. Thank you.
When Wilco's collapsed, the effect on the workers was devastating. To be told, you know, we're closing, and then to be told 10 minutes later by your manager it was within 6 days was shocking.
It was hard to take, to be perfectly honest. To have to explain stuff to people who've been there years and knew nothing else other than working at Wilco, that they will no longer have a job there.
They took £66 million out of a failing company while failing to look after their staff, and ultimately kept the money, walked away and left them all in destitution.
What happened to us was a disgrace.
Although Wilko's was a family, the GMB was also my family, and that supported me through the shock of being told I was going to be made redundant. The after effects, they helped me write a CV that ultimately got me a job, and without them, I wouldn't have known what to do.
This last 12 months has been really hard for ex-Wilko workers like myself. We in the GMB will always fight for our members. And here in the Midlands, we are building our union every single week.
The last 3 years is a big change. That's the first time we decided to voice out our concerns about the company. We want improvement, especially with our salary, to treat us with respect and not with discrimination. The management just ignored us. So the next day we decided that we need help, and we contacted GMB. To the esteemed GMB members at the Congress, we're fighting hard for our rights. We're like a group of Davids facing off a Goliath with the help of GMB. I believe our voices can finally be heard, amplified, and listened to.
The Wilko stage of my life might be over, but I will be GMB for the rest of my life.
Thank you, GMB Midlands, for that video. It shows both the heartbreak of our members at Wilko, but also the inspiration of our members at Amazon. And I know there's lots of other campaigns going on as well. Thank you. I would now like to invite Gary Smith to the rostrum to move the General Secretary's report. You should all have a copy of the report in your wallets, and this report chronicles the whole union's activity over the last 12 months and what we wish to aspire for the next. Could I also ask, just before, on speakers on motion 77, composite 3 and motion 84, to please be ready to move their motions after the General Secretary's report. Welcome, Gary.
Congress, Gary Smith, your General Secretary and Treasurer. Folks, we are a family. We win together, we hurt together, we laugh together, and we cry together. And like all families, sometimes we fall out. And as we know, it's the family fallouts that are often the worst. Now, some have chosen to protest today. They have the right to protest, and it goes to the heart of our movement, and it's something I will defend to my dying breath. But Congress, we also have a responsibility to talk to each other, to face into difficult situations, to make common cause, because that's what families do. At Congress, we can have our disagreements. It's good to see standing orders getting beat in the first vote this morning. That's part of it. A union that doesn't have different opinions isn't serving its members. But we also know that our members expect us, when we undertake this vital debate, to behave and act with responsibility. And that's what we will do this week. We will have our disagreements, we'll have our back and forth and then we come together in the spirit of the GMB to build a stronger and better union family. And I do want to address the GMB Midlands film. Gee whiz, that was emotional. Carol, hearing you speak with such courage, it reminds me of what an honour it is to lead this union. To represent such incredible people is an immense privilege. And Carol, you are the very best of us. We are with you today, tomorrow. We are with you always. And Congress has never lost on me that this event is about lay members. But I do want to pay tribute to our wonderful staff, the staff who put on this wonderful Congress for us all, but the staff who day in, day out work with us, helping us build the industrial campaigns that are growing our union. We have been through some difficult times as a union. 2020 was a watershed moment for many of our people, and it was tough. And I would like you today to join with me in saying to our staff, we do appreciate all the work that you do on behalf of the members in this union. But I mean this. I'll never ever forget where I come from, because like you, I was a GMB lay representative. I know how hard you work for our members and this union every single day. Please accept my thanks and the thanks of everybody across this union for the incredible things that you do to make work better. Thank you. Now, Congress, since our great union's birth 135 years ago, our union has been a force for good in this country, a force for justice and a force for change. We have fought for dignity and respect in workplaces and in society. And at all times, the people leading this charge have been an unstoppable band of sisters and brothers, our amazing members. And we should never forget the reason this union exists is because of the people on the walls. They sent you to Congress, they put me in this seat, and it's their hopes and it's their dreams that will inspire us this week. Now, I've been a GMB member for over 40 years. I don't know where it goes. And you may not know this, but I joined the union at 16 on my first day as a gas apprentice. If you haven't heard it, you've not been listening, because it's been the only thing I've spoken about consistently for the past few years. But my GMB membership, like for many of you, is a golden thread that runs through my life. It's inspired me in everything that I do, as a shop steward, as an officer, as a regional secretary, and now more so than ever as your General Secretary. The commitment to putting GMB members at the heart of all we do is what drives this union on, and it's what drives me on every day. Everyone in this hall has played a role in returning GMB to our members and from bringing this union back from the abyss. But I want to give a special mention to those who have helped shepherd us safely into a better place. And that's the members of our outgoing Central Executive Council. They have been fundamental to putting our union on the right path again. They have overseen a transformative time for GMB, and they leave a powerful legacy for the next CEC. I and all in our union want to thank the members of the CEC. Thank you. And I too need to pay a very special tribute to a really good pal of mine, good comrade, It will be his last Congress as Vice President. Malcolm Sage has been an incredible friend and a great servant to this union. His contribution will never be forgotten, and your experience, Malcolm, your wisdom, your solidarity and your friendship is going to be much missed. We salute you, brother. And of course, our National President, Barbara. Barbara has been crucial to putting our union back, getting the union standing up again on its feet. Her determination and strength has been vital to ensuring we have remained true to our members. Barbara, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you've done. And Congress, as this family does come together, it's also time to remember those who are no longer with us, those who gave so much to our union. There are so many to thank, but I need to give a particular mention to a wonderful friend and comrade to me and others in this hall today. And Jacqueline, thank you for speaking about Michelle McCrossan this morning. Michelle did amazing things for this union. She was the one who identified the equal pay crisis in Birmingham City Council. And she led the campaign to return the stolen wages to low-paid working women. She bravely spoke up about the problems with the culture in her own union at that time too, and I will never forget that. Michelle's legacy lives on, and when, as we will, win the equal pay battle in Birmingham, it will be in her honour. I miss that woman. I miss that woman so much. I miss that woman, and I'm so grateful for people showing your appreciation for her fantastic contribution to this union. But you know, that energetic spirit that drove Michelle on, it's still there. It's seen in the countless GMB campaigns that we now run around this country in the fight to make work better. In London Region, school support staff members campaigning to get equality with teachers on London waiting. The strikes in the Asda stores, I've seen the pictures and the clips. I've seen Warren Kenny's sunburn as well, actually, when he come off one of the picket lines. What energy was taken onto those picket lines. It was truly inspiring. And our members in Evri and NSL and many other employers across the region, we have been campaigning, we have been fighting, and we have been winning. And Melly, I think you're in the hall today. Please send all our best wishes and solidarity to our members at Pilgrim Foods who are fighting for justice and jobs. Our members in Amazon, you have been a huge part of the GMB Midlands story. You've done incredible things already, but the best is yet to come with union recognition in sight. Seferina, we've seen you on the video clip. Thank you so much. Garfield, what a contribution. Thank you. And equal pay in the Midlands, it's a top priority. Only last month, 35 Birmingham schools took historic strike action. We salute our members at MediRest in the Midlands, a private contractor in the NHS. Those members went the extra mile during COVID, and it's time they were treated like the key workers that they are. And I want to say to the manufacturing team in the Midlands, what a job you are doing. The Manufacturing Committee is bringing activists together from different employers across the region. Thank you for what you're doing. It's making a difference, and we're going to build, and we are going to get better and stronger in the manufacturing sector because of your hard work and your contribution. Members working in special educational needs in GMB North East Yorkshire and Humber have linked up with parents' groups to start fixing this crucial part of the school system. James, I see you down here earlier today. Thank you for the role you are playing in reading the campaign, and please take our best wishes from everyone here at our Congress back to those fighting that good fight. Our members in South Tyneside Refuse Service, they're about to start taking all-out strike action in response to the constant failings of the management in the council. Their struggle is ongoing and their activism has resulted in 100% GMB membership in the service. And in terms of equal pay, in Sunderland, in Leeds and Sheffield, we're fighting, we're campaigning, we're winning and we're building. In North Western Irish region, our members working in the public sector in Northern Ireland, you literally shook the political system to its core with that huge day of strike action that you undertook, and it was humbling to be in Belfast with you. The school support staff, I know our members remain in dispute. And Kay, Catherine, we salute your work, your courage and your campaigning, and 270 members in 1 week in schools. It is simply incredible. You're going to win the fight and your union is 110% behind you. And you know, the energy from our campaigns in the NHS in 2023 and from the ambulance strike, that wonderful ambulance dispute, that energy continues and recruitment and membership levels are continuing to go up. And there's also been huge growth in BAE systems, in the yards across the UK, not least Cumbria. Our membership is going up because we're listening to our members, because we're campaigning, we're fighting, and we are winning. To my old patch, we again seen some disputes in Glasgow City Council. We kind of get used to that. Never tire of it, to be fair. But I think one of my highlights was the strike by the parking attendants, the parking services last year. What an incredible dispute. It happened, for those who don't know, on the day of the Scotland-England game. Next time, they've got to make sure the match gets cancelled as well, because we're not going to talk about the result. There has also been huge equal pay wins in Scotland. In Renfrewshire Council, my own council, thousands of pounds are going into members' pockets. And there have been great victories for our members working in Care and Murray and South Lanarkshire councils, where we have gone through £15 an hour. And if we can do that in the Highlands of Scotland, we should be doing it the length and breadth of the UK. Raymond, I saw you briefly this morning. I just wanted to pay tribute to your work. 100 new members in schools, and what an ally you have been to women workers in Falkirk in the fight for equal pay, a model that we need to see across the country. The fight for equal pay is everybody in this union's fight. In Southern Region, pleased to say everybody's on a police cell today. We'll be taking a day off for the picket lines. We had the tremendous dispute at Canico, where we won a double-digit pay rise after industrial action. In fact, I don't think there's been a refuse and street cleaning service across the south of England which has not been impacted by industrial action over the past period. And the discontent in Asda that spread to Southern Region as well. Ballots in Gosport, in Brighton and Eastbourne. Members taking up the cudgels and taking up the fight, and we're going to take the fight to Asda this week here in Bournemouth as well. And Danielle and Adrian, I need to pay tribute for the fight that you have led at ISS Mediclean and the 17% increase you've got in pay for our members working in South London. Absolutely inspirational. And there's a special mention for our members and the whole team who resisted the attempts of Wiltshire County Council to cut our members in parking services pay by 10%. Their defiance is inspirational, and please take back our solidarity greetings from this Congress. You know, I was down in Port Talbot in South Wales, and it makes me so angry. So angry to think that they're going to close blast furnaces and try and throw thousands of workers on the dole. I am sick to the back teeth of getting lectured by other unions and politicians about just transitions. Where is the just transition for our people and our communities? And we absolutely celebrate the fact that our members at Tata Steel are standing up. They're fighting for their jobs and they're fighting for their communities, and our members have just voted for strike action. Our very best wishes to you all, Ruth. The great campaigning at Hinkley Point, the largest construction site in Europe. The membership continued to grow and the campaigning's ongoing there. Martina and Brendan, I think you're both in the hall today. Thanks for all the work that you're doing and the incredible stuff that you're doing around diversity and inclusion. And our members in the region are also working across the different water companies, joining together to build a new water forum so that campaigns can be organised across the whole sector. And finally, I do want to pay tribute to our members in G4S who work in the DWP job centres. Dave, Tony, I've seen you earlier today. The Department for Work in Poverty, as we call them, they've been shook as well. They've been shook by the solidarity of you and all of our shop stewards and members who have stood up and took strike action. The work that you're doing is truly inspiring. Congress, these are your amazing efforts. They're your victories. This is your union. Let's celebrate that, and let's celebrate all the fantastic campaigns we are running the length and breadth of this country. Congress and workplaces everywhere, we are a powerful presence again. We are strong, relevant, influential. We have got our campaigning mojo back. And new members are joining us in huge numbers. But not just joining members, we're also doing more to retain members as well, and we're seeing positive results. And I'm absolutely delighted that coming into Congress, our overall membership has continued to grow. And very importantly, our financial membership, those paying Grade 1 and Grade 2, have also been growing, because that is important to the financial stability of the union. When you elected me, and let's never forget this union was at a point of crisis. Year on year, our membership was falling. And the truth is, we faced a very uncertain future. But because of the changes you've made, the changes we've made together, we are in a much stronger position today. And you know, we have addressed matters that for too long were left in the long grass. It was 20+ years ago that the Henry Report made recommendations on GMB being a fully inclusive union and being a model in race equality. And it's fallen to us, this generation of leaders, to take action. We appointed our first national race officer, the fantastic Ty Nosakeri. He really is special. And you've heard about it already today, but the GMB Race Achievement Scholarship Programme, or GRASP, that Ty leads, is a landmark moment for our union. and the graspers who've undertaken that programme and who will go on in the programme this year, they are truly making history. Because those activists, they're on a mission to transform workplaces everywhere. And I want to say a huge thank you to all our graspers for the work that you've been undertaking and this groundbreaking initiative which you've made happen. Thank you. Now, Congress, we are far from perfect and we have a road to go. I'm not perfect and I have a lot to learn. But because we've changed, we are ready to meet the moment before us as this country makes a choice at a general election. I have always been clear. GMB doesn't believe in political superheroes. But we know that the last 14 years have been a terrible time for working people. The Tories have imposed austerity, they've hollowed out our public services and left our economy in tatters. They are the agents of chaos, and the Tories' time is up. But my challenge to Labour is to recognise that change can't just be a simple, snappy election slogan. It must be brought to life in government. People have had enough of the way the country is being run, and they want and demand a better future. The New Deal for working people is a promising sign that Labour gets this. GMB, along with our sister unions, have battled so hard to get commitments that will make work better. The right to access and organise in workplaces, strong action for the first time on equal pay, and a national school support staff negotiating body. And there is so much more within that document. Our job is to hold the next Labour government to account and bring that new deal to life. But there is the prospect of a brighter future, and it stands in stark contrast to what the Tories have done in power. Their disgraceful minimum service level law is a spiteful attack on trade union members, and we should celebrate the fact that Labour has committed to scrapping this dreadful piece of legislation. That is a big, concrete win for us and something we will welcome. But I do need to warn you that as the media focus on Labour increases, the attacks on us and other unions are getting louder. Today, it's a piece in the Mail on Sunday about the dental plan benefit that many of our members and some of you will use. Apparently, the dental plan benefit programme is somehow a threat to contemporary British capitalism. But let's be clear. These attacks are going to increase, and there may be some, even from our own movement and from our own past, who will feed the Tory machine and their media supporters. And that, Congress, just cannot and is not right. The Tories and their enablers have always been the enemy of trade union. Congress attacks are coming, but if we stand together and stay true to the change we are delivering, we are going to emerge victorious. People are desperate for change in the world of work. Our members know just how broken things are. Low pay, long hours, insecurity, discrimination, 14 years of chaos and failure have hacked away at the building blocks of fairness, decency, respect at work. Working people deserve an economy that delivers for all, not just for a super rich few. And workers feel shut out of the conversation on things that matter. And our union is crucial to fixing this, bringing members' voices to the fore, building campaigns, shaping debate and influencing the decisions of a future Labour government. Now, 2 years ago in Harrogate, I sent a clear message to employers that GMB is coming for you on equal pay, and that's just what we have done. But many are still putting fingers in their ears. They're hoping this issue will go away. Congress, let us send a message on equal pay. Employers can run, but they cannot hide. They have a choice: change and give our members the justice on pay they deserve, or GMB will find you and you will pay. And equal pay. It remains a huge issue for our members in ASDA. We know that. But there is so much more that is wrong with that great old company. I was talking to some of our members this morning. Cuts to hours, increased workloads, the lowering of standards. The new owners of that company are draining the very life out of that business. But our members across the country are fighting back. And we say to ASDA, you need to change direction and fast. And if not, GMB will take you on. Our NHS and ambulance members and our school support members are holding the nation's health and education systems together, but the government still won't properly recognise our members and the incredible efforts that they undertake. So again, GMB is clear. It's time to show respect for public servants, and that starts with a proper pay rise. Our energy members are the beating heart of our economy. Without them, there's no power, no heating, no lighting, no schools, no hospitals. Everything grinds to a halt. And onshore and offshore industries, they are undergoing huge change. But right now, many workers feel they are being ignored. And GMB's message to political leaders is clear. Our energy members give so much to this country. You need to put them at the centre of the conversation about their future, and you need to do it now. And each and every one of us is aware that we live in an increasingly volatile world. Sitting back while crucial heavy industry and capacity is lost, and watching our vital manufacturing work go overseas doesn't just cause carnage in our communities, it's dreadful for our national security too. And it's GMB that is going to do something about it. Because we say very clearly, enough of exporting work and importing virtue, enough surrendering our essential industries at the altar of globalisation. For the safety and security of our country, for the benefit of our communities, it's time to start bringing the jobs home. And nothing demonstrates why work must change more than that fight for recognition at Amazon. This global giant has used every trick in the book to stop a union from organising. It's no surprise they want to keep us out. The extraordinary demands I've heard that are put on our members, I've listened to you when I've been on the picket lines, the long hours, the low pay, the health and safety issues. Well, Congress, we're on the cusp of a victory that is going to send shockwaves around the world. Congress, let's support our members in getting the ballot over the line. Let's make history. Let's win at Amazon. All of the key battles that will decide our future are about change. Now, we either get involved and shape our destiny, or we will become victims of the whims of others. We've changed our union, much to do, but we've changed. Our members' voices are back. The workplace is the focus again. We are listening and we're building campaigns once more. And it's not just the right thing to do, it's working too. Congress, as we keep moving forward, we will be tested. But whatever we face, we must remain true to our members. Congress, we've done so much together. We are on the right track. Let's keep going. Let's keep making work better. Congress, thank you.
Thank you. I now put the General Secretary's report to the floor for endorsement. So all those in favour of adopting the report, please show. Thank you. All those against? That's carried. Can I have the mover of motion 77, please, up to the rostrum? They're there. 77. Composite 3 and motion 84 down the front, please.
President, Congress, good afternoon. My name's Ian Preece, W60 Wellington Branch, Midlands Region. I'm here to talk about the motion number 77, a level playing field. I call upon the CEC to back a campaign to ensure that all staff in the football industry with the same qualifications are paid the same wage and the same terms and conditions for working. A qualified 18-year-old coach or staff member should be paid the same as a 30-year-old coach or staff member when doing the same job. But unfortunately, this isn't true in a lot of clubs. I've heard today that we fight for gender, we fight for race, let's fight for age equality as well. Equal pay for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Seconder.
Mount Short, Midland Region, second proposal. Ian's right, it's not a level playing field, and it ought to be. It ought to be the levelest playing field there is. Why should somebody who's qualified as a coach, what is basically looking after young kids, is safe and everything else, safe environment, he should be paid the same. Gary, you forgot to mention Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe Steelworks is losing 2,500 people. Please back this campaign. I'm begging you to back it, because Scunthorpe is a small town and 2,000 people out of work. Just think about it. You're talking about other places. Just think about this. 2,500 people out of work at one go. Please help it.
Thank you, Miles. Mover of motion Composite 3, please. Composite 3, mover.
President, Congress, Dave Sadler, Midland Region R36 Branch, GMB Midlands Manufacturing Committee, Forced Media and Publicity Officer, first-time delegate and speaker. Years before the birth of furlough, during a period now known as COVID, our branch tabled a motion to request a form of parachute payment to workers whose employers were temporarily hit by an economic slump or cyclical downturn for whatever reason. Our company, with the backing of the GMB reps, agreed to go on a shorter working week. Temporarily during the recession, we tried to introduce a payment to partially pay for the shortfall as a viable alternative to layoffs or redundancies. Agency workers are even more vulnerable and commonly used as a watershed even by their fellow workmates. It's only natural, but to our trade union, alien to our objectives of equality and fairness. European countries, Australia and the US have a system that the Germans called furlough to bypass layoffs. When our original campaign reached the desk of Peter Mandelson, he said he had something in mind, but not exactly as we had asked for, and an alternative has never been promoted since. With a cushioned path of assistance similar to furlough, employers can retain their fully trained workforce and keep morale up, rather than layoffs, which are the most demoralising part of anyone's work career. Secondly, the burden falls on the government, eventually in the form of benefits. At the time, nobody bought into the short-term agreement, but it did retain jobs and compulsory redundancies, and any compulsory redundancies, sorry. What we're asking for now is a better regulated scheme, similar to furlough, to stop primarily agency workers having to leave a role, in some cases returning to a few months later, having lost their service. Our manufacturing committee, when asked about its subjects, this furlough was high above everybody's thing. So, in short, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to move that furlough becomes standard throughout British national policy. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Seconder.
Congress, President. Darren McLaren, Midlands Region, R36 Branch, Midlands Manufacturing Committee member. First time speaker, first time Congress. In 2020, the then Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, announced that the government would pay everyone 80% of their salary to cope with the fact that we all had to stay at home due to the pandemic. He said this was the amount needed for a family to live on. As David just said, we should be pushing an incoming Labour government that any worker who is off work to illness or to the lack of work or similar occasions like the pandemic, we should be paid 80% of our salary, as the government said was the norm. That is why I second our motion for furlough being the norm. Thank you.
Well done, Dan. Thank you. And mover of motion 84.
Good afternoon, President, delegates, colleagues and guests. My name is Adrian Urseyu, a proud GMB representative and branch secretary, W32 Wimbledon, Southern Region. First-time delegate and first-time speaker. Thank you. Thank you. I'm moving motion 84, statutory notice pay compensations. Stop making deductions. In the event of a business becoming insolvent, government pays certain benefits to dismissed employees, such as redundancy payment, holiday pay, outstanding payments like unpaid wages, overtime, and commissions, money you would have earned working your notice period, statutory notice pay. The notice pay, however, is compensation for lost statutory notice and paid subject to mitigation. This means that the claim can be submitted until the end of the notice period using an quote LN and quote reference number that will be sent after the notice period would have ended. This usually takes no more than 12 weeks after the dismissal. Government will deduct all new employment income received in the notice period if a new role is secured. In addition to this, any new or increased benefits, such as universal credit or contribution-based job seekers allowance you have received or had entitlement to claim, are also deducted. After applying for statutory notice pay, it usually takes up to 6 weeks to get any payments, but can be longer. And then, as an employee who has made redundant is thinking, do we go start looking for a job and risk losing statutory notice pay? Or we stay home the full length of the notice and get help from the government, but this after the 6 weeks. Here is a crossroad that puts a lot of pressure on the dismissed employees. He is thinking about available and upcoming income, if it's enough for rent, mortgage, car payments, and other bills. Thus, he has enough to last until the statutory notice pay comes from the government. Congress, I'm asking the statutory notice pay to be claimable in full from the redundancy payment service and encouraging a speedy return to work of those made redundant following an insolvency. Congress, thank you for your time, and please support my motion. I move.
Well done, Adrian.
Thank you.
Well done. And the seconder?
Afternoon, Congress. President. It's my second time here, but first time speaking. Mike Ferguson, Southern Branch B50. Seconding the motion 84, statutory notice pay and compensation. Why should people get punished for going out to find work after being made redundant? At the end of the day, they shouldn't be. If you go and find work, you sign on, collect any kind of benefits from the government, you're going to get punished financially for up to 12 weeks. And nothing of your problem. Just because they want to go out and find work. We ask Congress to stop the statutory payment compensation and bring it in line with pilling, which is payment in lieu of notice. Thank you for your time. I second this motion.
Well done, Mike. Thank you. Are there any opposition speakers to those motions? No. Just before I go on, can I call composite speakers and seconders for composite A and motion 126 to the front as well, please? Can I have the CEC speaker, Colin, for the CEC's response?
President, Congress. Colin Gunter responding to motion 77 and composite 3 on behalf of the CEC. On motion 77, whilst we are against age-related pay, our qualification is that we believe there is a role for incremental pay in line with experience and qualification. On composite 3, GMB is fully committed to campaigning for the rights of those with protected characteristics of the Equality Act 2010, of which religion is a protected characteristic. The composite raises an interesting issue worth consideration, and the recommendation is to refer to allow research into the subject to develop policy and to formulate any demands of a new government. In the UK, there are a wide range of religions which are followed, and it might be beneficial if there was an overall number of holidays which could be raised for the specific religious holiday for that individual. By law, employers are not obliged to grant holiday leave for religious holidays, for example. Obviously, in the UK, the Christmas and Easter periods contain bank holidays, which employers usually close for those who would not necessarily need to be booked off as annual leave. As the case law stands at present in relation to religious discrimination, an employer can take consideration of the needs of other staff into account. Accommodating the needs of one worker can make it harder for co-workers to plan holidays and potentially increases the cost and reliance on agency staff. For these reasons, we'd like to take time to research the issue further. Therefore, Congress, the CEC position is to support motion 77 with a small qualification and to ask that Composite 3 be referred. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Does Midlands accept the qualification on motion 77? Thank you. And do you accept the reference back on Composite 3? Thank you. Okay, so we don't vote on Composite 3, but we do vote on motion 77. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. And the CEC is supporting motion 84, so all those in favour, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's also carried. Thank you. We now move on to industrial and economic policy, the private section. There are a number of motions now relating to industrial issues in the private section, starting with Composite 8 and motion 126. And we are joined on the table by Private Section National Secretary Andy Prendergast, who just arrived. And could I ask the speakers on motions 119, 120 and 122 also be ready to speak next? So could I have the mover for motion or Composite 8, please?
Paul Hunt, Wales and South West Region, moving Composite 8. President, Congress. This Congress recognises that access to clean and reliable water is a fundamental necessity for communities, and the provision of water services is a critical responsibility carried out by water companies. Concerns have been raised regarding the performance of certain water companies, reflecting inadequacies in service delivery and potential negative impacts on consumers and our members. This Congress recognises the need for accountability and responsible corporate governance within the water industry, especially in instances where performance has been deemed unacceptable. This Congress calls upon Ofwat to establish measures ensuring that executives of water companies are not in receipt of disproportionately large bonuses, particularly when the overall performance of the company is deemed unacceptable by Ofwat. This Congress asked the CEC National Private Committee to campaign for Ofwat to engage in a comprehensive assessment of the performance of water companies, considering factors such as service quality, customer satisfaction, and adhering to regulatory standards, before approving any executive bonus or stakeholder rewards. To conclude, this Congress highlights the importance of transparent and accountable practices within the water industry to ensure that consumer interests are prioritised and bonuses are aligned with overall performance of the water company. I move.
Thank you. Well done. Could I have a seconder, please, for Composite 8? Is there a seconder? That's Wales and South West. Formerly, thank you very much. And then the mover for motion 126.
Stay.
Good afternoon. President, Congress, brothers, sisters, Cliff Roney, London Region, reading motion 126, a new regulatory body for the water industry. As you can see, I'm joined on the platform by fat cats. Thank you. These can often be found stalking the stock exchange looking for prey. In 1989, thanks to Margaret Thatcher, they found the water companies. And since that time, they have taken £57 billion in share dividends, bonuses and wages to CEOs. Hopefully, these fat cats will become extinct with the help of a new regulator and a new Labour government. And now for the motion. This Congress calls upon the GMB to start a national campaign of action for the government to set up a new regulatory body to oversee the water companies. Because we believe that the present system has been failing for years and is no longer fit for purpose. Congress notes that the failings of the financial status of Thames Water has alluded to an almost unworkable situation resulting in financial instability. The CEO of Ofwat earns between £145,000 and £164,000 a year, but is in charge of a failed regulator. This can't be right. What do we think of that? Disgusting. The Industry and the Regulators Committee reported failures in water and sewage in September 2023, stating that the water companies have been overly focused on maximising financial returns at the expense of operational performance and protecting the environment. The water companies should not be able to receive substantial bonuses when their companies have missed performances and targets and polluted the water and the environment. Disgusting. Ofwat has done nothing to stop this for over 35 years. This must stop. We need change and we need it fast. We need a new regulatory body set up, hopefully under a new Labour government, that is committed to the regulation that is not about making money and profits. At the moment, Thames Water, the largest water company, is financially unsustainable, and overall the water companies are environmentally unsustainable. The UK needs a new regulatory body to oversee the companies that ensure that the fat cats can no longer gain from an industry that has failed to deliver for over 35 years. Ofwat finds themselves under increasing pressure from Thames Water to increase bills by as much as 59%, highlighting just how bad the investment infrastructure has become. If this increase is allowed to happen, we could find ourselves in a situation where the water would be treated by customers in the same way as gas and electricity, so that some customers would be scared to use it for fear that they wouldn't be able to pay the bill at the end of the month. Disgusting. Imagine not flushing your toilet for fear of not having enough money to pay the bill. This is disgusting. I've been involved in the water industry now for over 45 years, and nobody who works in the industry wants it to fail. The commitment from the staff is 100%, as it has always been. Over 8,000 GMB members are working flat out to try and keep this industry running. I'd like to personally thank all the members and all the staff, including the National Water Forum, and for all their help and their amazing support over so many years. I most sincerely hope that my grandchildren, Emery and Logan, will one day be able to play on beaches and swim in the sea safely. Congress, please get behind this, because at the end of the day, it's our water, we own it, the people of this country. Nobody else should take profit from it. We need to get behind it. Congress, with your support and our members' support, we can get ourselves back to where we used to be, the finest water companies in the world. Congress, I move. Thank you.
Well done, Cliff. I was going to say, your fat cat did look a bit deflated by the end of that speech. Well done. Seconder, please.
Good afternoon, President, Congress. Steve Davis, London Region, seconding motion 126, a new regulatory body for the water industry. In May of this year, South West Water had a serious cryptosporidium outbreak, leading to 46 confirmed cases and more than 100 other people reporting symptoms. This incident further highlights the lack of infrastructure, maintenance and investment that the water industry is desperately crying out for. The regulator has failed in its duty to regulate the water companies for over 30 years, whilst allowing fat cat owners and shareholders to drain the financial resources by omitting to put pressure on the companies to properly maintain the infrastructure. To echo Cliff from his speech, this is also disgusting. This motion calls for a new regulator who will address and bring to task the fat cat water companies. We must have a regulator that doesn't allow water companies to increase bills to pay for their failings over so many years. Congress, please get behind this motion. I second.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone opposing either of those motions? No? Then can I ask Margie Clark from the CEC to speak, please?
President, Congress, Margie Clark responded to Composite 8 on behalf of the CEC, which we are supporting with qualifications. Firstly, I would like to echo what the delegates have said. The state of our water industry is a national disgrace. Like all our nationalised industries, the water industry took decades to build at great expense under the public purse and sold off for virtually nothing by Thatcher. It is one of the clearest examples of how damaging this ideology has been to our country. This decay was inevitable. We hope that a new government will bring back our water industry into national control. Now, I shall outline the position on Composite 8. We support the motion's call to grapple bloated executive pay within the water industry, and we are supportive of caps on executive pay and bonuses. Our qualifications are that executives shouldn't get bonuses linked to customer satisfaction, as there is no consumer choice as a bill payer for water. That we support the renationalisation of the water industry, therefore taking power out of our shareholder committees, and that we are sceptical that Ofwat is a competent enough body capable of grappling with the issue to make these assessments. We support an overhaul of Ofwat and renationalisation of the industry. Thank you, Congress. We hope you support this composite with the qualifications that I have laid out. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. Does Wales and South West accept the qualification on Composite 8? Yes? Thank you. All those in favour of Composite 8, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. CEC is supporting motion 126. All those in favour of motion 126, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. We now move on to industrial and economic policy, still the private sector section. And could I ask, while those motions are being moved, could I ask the speakers on 131, 133 and 134 also to come down the front to be ready? And 130, London Region, you heard that that's been withdrawn. Can I have the mover of motion 119, please?
Hello, Congress. John Paul Westwood, Midlands Region, GMB Midlands Region Manufacturing Committee member. Congress, this motion was raised by my branch because we represent members who work in the industry that has been on decline for decades. Manufacturing, particularly where I grew up, was the bread and butter jobs for workers like my parents. My mum and dad met at work, BSR in Halzone to be precise, so I might not even be here if it wasn't for manufacturing. A proud company that was once a leading manufacturer of record players. My dad was convener at that workplace. He fought hard for members he represented there. The workers were let down by owners and government, and the company closed its doors in the 80s. Some 40-odd years later, that trend has continued.
seen multiple manufacturing companies close. Lay reps in the Midlands decided that we wanted to inspire change. We came together to form a committee of workers who will put focus on the interests and needs of manufacturing workers in the region. That regional committee spawned a campaign for change for manufacturing workers. That campaign is what I'm here to ask you for your support on. The Midlands Manufacturing Campaign calls for a UK manufacturing procurement agreement for the minimum standard of sick and layoff pay to be 80% of wages as per the job retention scheme, for apprenticeships to become mandatory in the manufacturing companies to 10% of the workforce, for manufacturing to become part of the UK's education system, for our government to invest in UK hydrogen infrastructure, for all temporary workers to be given a full-time contract after 12 months service, and for industrial voices to be acknowledged and to add value of the credibility of GMB in their workplaces. The CSC has called for this motion to be referred, which our region has accepted. But I wish to urge the GMB to move on this issue, because if the UK wants to have good, well-paid jobs in the future, manufacturing has to be part of that. Without the skilled workers required to build a thriving manufacturing industry, the UK economy will struggle to recover from the pit it's been thrown in by this failed Conservative government. This is not just a vote for a motion, it's a vote for an industry. Congress, I move.
Thank you, John. Seconder.
Dale Dwyers, Midlands Region, Congress. I second this motion supporting the Midland Manufacturing Campaign for Change. I'm employed in the house brick producing industry. This is a multi-million-pound industry in the UK. But in downturns previously, they lay you off very quickly with very little notice. I know firsthand what it's like to be laid off. Stressful for members and their families, with literally no pay coming in. We need to campaign against the government to set the minimum layoff levels at minimum of 80%, as they stated furlough was. Because this can't go on. Members are in dire straits when this happens. Congress, I second.
Thank you, Dale. Mover 120.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sharon Yates, S75 Branch, Midlands Region, speaking on moving motion 120, factory shops and local outlets. President, Congress, over the years, the pottery industry has suffered greatly with the wrongdoings of employers. I stand here today, yet again, with another disgraceful act against people of the potteries. Stoke-on-Trent is known as the capital of the ceramics industry and is famously known all over the world. This to me means if you produce ceramics in the city, then you should be selling these products in your local outlets and through local factory shops and through the country. But this is not happening. If you go to attractions where there are companies have outlets, they are not selling homemade products like ceramics, but selling products made in China and Indonesia. This is disgraceful. People travel to the potteries to see and to learn the history and to buy our products. And they are being sold cheap-made imports for the same price that have been produced in Stoke-on-Trent. A few weeks ago, another factory closed its doors with the loss of more than 100 members. This is devastating for the pottery industry and the city itself, and the people who work there. But their shops and outlets aren't closing, but continuing to trade with imported ware and will be using our famous pottery status. Our city is fast turning into a museum city by this, and it needs to stop. We as a union have got to stop talking about it, and we need to act. We have lost enough industries. Please let us stand and fight to save our precious industry and the people of Stoke-on-Trent. I'll leave you with this. How many stalls out there have got ceramic products that are made in other countries? Just think, we are one union and we need to take back control of our industry. My GMB family, please, for the pottery industry and the people of Stoke-on-Trent, please support this motion. I move.
Thank you, Sharon. Seconder.
Lisa McCready, Midlands Region, seconding motion 120, factory shops and local outlets. President, Congress. The continuation of our great pottery industry is very important. By letting companies carry on outsourcing our products is unacceptable. We need to make a stand against this and fight for the survival of our industry. Please support.
Thank you, Lisa. Movement 122.
President, Congress, Lorraine Parker de Lazarete, Wales and South West Region, moving motion 122. FMSP and Ensign Naval Support Integrated Global Network. Colleagues, this motion covers a critical aspect of our national defence strategy, the future of our Royal Naval warships and our fleet maintenance programme. The Ministry of Defence has indicated that they believe there is more room for cost savings within the workforce of our shipyards. Congress, this motion asks you to recognise that where contracts have been broken up in the past, this causes outsourcing of workers, often including the areas where we have women members in the industry, a reduction in trade union bargaining groups, redundancy, cuts to quality of pension provision, and generally worsening of our members' terms and conditions. Colleagues, the more that these contracts are broken up, the more we risk having to cross multiple contractors, creating unfair and lower terms and conditions. Breaking up contracts and all outsourcing is not in the best interest for our members and false economy to the MOD. The Tories' commitment to ensuring that our naval fleet remains robust and state-of-the-art is unwavering, and our strategy focuses on leveraging the expertise and capabilities with our own border to achieve this goal. Colleagues, to clarify two crucial components of our naval strategy is that the Fleet Maintenance Programme and Naval Support Integrated Global Network, while both are vital to the operational effectiveness, they serve distinct purpose and operate in different capacities. Understanding these differences is key to appreciating how our Navy maintains its readiness and global reach. The Fleet Maintenance Programme is the backbone of our naval upkeep and operational readiness. This programme focuses on the routine, scheduled, and preventative maintenance of our warships. Its primary objectives are routine maintenance, preventative maintenance, readiness, and available with cost-effective processes. Maintenance addresses potential issues, minimises the risk of unexpected breakdowns, and extends the lifespan of our ships. Readiness and availability ensures that our ships are always ready for deployment. The fleet can respond quickly to any emergency threats or crises, and the Fleet Maintenance Programme reduces the long-term effects associated with the major repairs and overhauls, This efficient process of resources ensures that the taxpayers' money is spent wisely. It protects terms and conditions for our members and removes the need for outsourcing contracts to several unrecognised workplaces. Breaking up contracts is not in the best interest of our members. The Naval Support Integrated Global Network would be false economy to the MOD. Congress, the ensign process needs to be fundamentally rethought out. Please support this motion and our members. I move.
Thank you, Lorraine. Seconder. Seconder 122. Thank you. Does anyone wish to oppose? No. I'll now call on Shalish to give the CC statement.
President, Congress. Sailesh Gaglani responding on behalf of the CAC to motions 119 and 120. On motion 119, we can take best practice and successful campaigning from all areas of the Union and see how it best applies to other campaigns. We are asking that this motion be referred to look at the merits of this campaign. This is on the grounds that some employers have better terms than the motion outlines with regards to the 80% paid leave. Some employers offer 100%, and we don't want to undercut agreements we already have. We also don't wish to commit to 10% places for apprenticeship in case employers replace full-time and qualified workers to fulfill quota. On motion 120, labeling of products is important to ensure that consumers know that they are buying products that they think they are buying. The qualification is that the potteries branches should lead the campaign. Therefore, Congress, we are asking that 119 is referred back and that 120 is supported with the small qualification. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalish. Does Midland accept the reference back on 119? Does the Midland accept qualifications on 120? Thank you. All those in favour of motion 120, please show. Any against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 122, please show. Against? That's carried. Thank you, Congress. Could the movers of 131, 133 and 134 please be ready, and also those who are due to speak on the motions in the next block? And could the mover of motion 131 from Southern please come to the rostrum?
Good afternoon, President, Congress. I'm Danielle Sochel for South Region, first-time speaker. According to recent reports, it's more than 600,000 incidents of violence at work happening in 2023 in the UK. Violence in the workplace can cause physical and emotional harm, leading to workers taking time off sick, or even to acquire a physical or mental health disability, what means they can never work again. Violence at work can cause emotional distress and financial pressure for families of the workers too. Companies and higher management lack of empathy with workers who are assaulted doing their job. This is also a lack of investment in training for the managers, for them to recognize and understanding this issue and the consequences to the workers who haven't been assaulted at their place of work. Seems like it's more important to companies and managers filling reports that actually deal with the incidents. GMB is right calling to relaunch the safeguarding campaign to protect and support workers against violence. As I ask for support, I move. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Seconder.
President, Congress, good afternoon. My name is Marguerite Pinnock. I'm from the Southern Region. I'm a first-time delegate today. And I'm a first-time, and I would like to second motion 131. As we gather here today, it's crucial that we address the alarming escalation of verbal abuse and the physical assaults faced by our members and frontline workers across various sectors. It is a stark reality that demands our immediate attention and action. Reflecting back to 2010, when the GMB launched the groundbreaking safeguarding campaign and charter for security workers, it was a pivotal moment in our history. This initiative was born out of pressing needs to protect our workers from the scourge of verbal abuse and violent physical assaults that were becoming all too common in their line of duty. Fast forward to the present day, over 14 years later, and the situation has only worsened. It's not just security workers who are bearing the brunt of such despicable behaviour, but also our colleagues in the NHS, school support staff, and those working in the retail sector. The rise in incidents of verbal abuse and physical assaults is deeply concerning, and it is high time that we take a stand to protect our members and frontline workers. Today I stand before you to propose a course of action that must be undertaken without delay. The GMB Union must rise to the occasion and lead the charge in safeguarding all our members. We must update and relaunch the Safeguard campaign and charter across our entire union, extending its protective reach to every worker who faces these grave risks. Furthermore, we must call upon all employers, both in the private and public sector, to sign up to the charter. It is imperative that they commit to creating a safe and secure working environment for their employees and not prioritise paperwork over the well-being of those who serve on the front lines. In our pursuit of justice and protection for our workers, we must also seek the support of the Labour Party. We urge them to back and adopt our Safeguard campaign and charter, signalling their commitment to the welfare and safety of workers across the nation. Finally, we must demand tougher action.
Can you wind up, please?
Sorry?
You say I move. A second, sorry.
I second this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Mover 133.
President, Congress, Alistair Blondell, London Region, E20. First time Speaker, first time Delegate. Comrades, let us hope that we all wake up on the morning of the 5th of July with a Labour government in power so that we can push forward with this motion. Across all our sectors of low-paid workers struggle with difficult, sometimes unsafe working conditions, long hours and often abuse. We also name a few of the low-paid workers such as security, care assistants, teaching assistants, TAs in other words, cleaners and others. In fact, London has almost 1 million workers on 0-hour contracts. And they have no idea what they're going to earn that day, never mind that week. All these provide a valuable service that we see, and in their daily working life, we ask them to be watchful, to look after our children and our grandchildren, keep areas clean and safe for us, from shopping centres, airports, ports, and our children, most importantly, whilst they're in their care. This motion came from one of the security branches and highlights the government does not provide support for security workers. In fact, we'd go further to say they don't support low-paid workers at all. But that's what you get with a Tory government. Having been a security officer myself and being required to work over 60 hours plus to take home a living wage, I know exactly how unfair some workers are being paid. We must try and make sure that employers, no matter what part of the country they are in, try to increase pay and benefits for all our brothers and sisters, no matter for who or where they work. As a plus side, we would also increase retention of staff and their mental well-being. We call on Congress to work with the government, employers and low-paying sectors to guarantee our brothers and sisters who work in these roles a minimum of £15 an hour. We recognise the role they play in our daily life, and furthermore, Congress, I recommend this, and let's get the job done.
Thank you, Alistair. Seconder.
President, Congress, Andrew Hewitt, London Region, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Seconding motion 133. Colleagues, I represent one of the sectors just mentioned in which staff are consistently some of the lowest paid people, suffering the tightest squeezes in household budgets and having to push themselves both mentally and physically to breaking point to earn a decent living wage. It is my belief that for far too long we have marched and pushed for secure jobs and better pay, waving our flags, and in return getting very little. £15 per hour has been promised by various left-wing parties for the last decade. It is high time we demand delivery. I second.
Thank you, Andrew. Mover 134.
President, Congress, I'm Sarah Miller from S44 Southend-on-Sea branch, London Region. I'm a first-time delegate and first time at Congress. I'm moving motion 134, unpaid on-site working hours. In the commercial service sector, there are several industries where our membership is suffering a time inefficiency to their working day. Let me explain. Across the UK in aviation and distribution centres, as an example, there's a mandatory security validation points to check all staff. These checkpoints are often understaffed and small areas causing congestion and long waiting queues. Our membership have to arrive up to 1 hour before starting their point of employment so that they can successfully get through security. My colleague Bruce can elaborate on several difficulties our membership have to endeavour from the moment of arrival on site to starting work at Heathrow Airport, due to the lack of infrastructure by the authority. Congress, in this motion, we believe all our members who suffer from security checks are suffering a detriment to their pay. Last year, there was a case raised against a well-known sports distribution centre by their employee. The case was based on 0 hours contract staff being kept on site and subjected to body searches at the end of every shift, which can take up to 15 minutes and is unpaid. This practice contributes to staff being paid less than the minimum wage. The case was carried and awarded to staff as a detriment. In aviation, we may not be searched at the end of the shift, but every start to the shift, we are searched, resulting in the same principle as the fourth mentioned case study, but in reverse. Congress, we would like your support in this motion to justify the GMB campaigning to the Labour Party to change in the law the Work Time Directive. In certain industries where checkpoints are made mandatory, the employee should be paid at point of entry to site, not at the point of an employer's check-in pay system. Congress, support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Seconder.
President, Congress, Bruce Wilmot, London Region, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Of course, we all have a journey to work and expect to arrive ready to start work for the time we're paid for. How long that journey is a personal choice, where we choose to live, where we apply for a job, for instance. However, some of our colleagues in the industrial and commercial sector cannot choose how long it takes to get to their actual place of work rather than the car park. For instance, working on aircraft gates at London Heathrow Terminal 5 requires them to park a very long distance away from our actual clocking in or swiping in point. They have no option but to queue for a staff bus to take them from their allocated car park to the terminal. Quite often, that will entail a wait of at least 10 to 15 minutes. And at peak times, you might not even get on the bus, the first one to arrive, because of poor provision. Then, one may have a journey of up to 30 minutes before arriving at the terminal, where you then wait again for the security checks. But unlike the passengers, there is generally just one staff security point, often undermanned, so another queue. Once finally through the security, another long trekker waits on foot, another bus, or a so-called rapid transport. By the time the colleague arrives at his place of work and swiping in, it can easily be over an hour from when they first parked their car. After a grueling 12-hour shift, they will then do the same journey in reverse, albeit most of the time without security checks. So that means the colleague has been at work for at least an hour and a half, all that time being unpaid. That can't be allowed to stand. Congress, I urge you to support this motion. I second.
Thank you, Bruce. Does anyone wish to oppose any of the motions? No? Thank you. I'll call on Dean Gilligan on behalf of the CEC.
Hello. Right, Dean Gilligan, super sub, not dressed for the occasion, and a bit rough. Wearing my regional secretary's glasses. So here we go. Vice President, Congress, Dean Gilligan responding on motions 131, 133 and 134. On motion 131, safeguard wasn't about reducing violence. It was also designed to shame the security sector into making proper sick pay provisions. We've moved away from the charter-based initiatives for the most part, so extending safeguard wouldn't be the preferred method of campaigning. We are looking to launch a new campaign tackling work-related violence across the whole of the UK workforce at Congress. And this motion would fit well with that approach. We support this motion with the qualification that the national campaign will replace the proposed safeguard element. On motion 133, the motion calls on us to work with employers to raise wages in the security sector. The first qualification is to remind Congress of the existing GMB at Work policy, specifically point 3. The employer has different interests than our members. We will, of course, look to work with employers, but if it were that simple, then employers would have already been paying £15 an hour. The second qualification is that we are looking to establish a working relationship with the SIA to pick up on industrial-wide issues such as training and recognition of skills. Finally, on motion 134, the CEC notes that hourly paid workers should be paid the agreed contractual rate for every hour they are required to work. The union will wish to support the objectives of the motion, and the qualification is that there may be in place a mechanism already to address the issue, but the motion proposes to make the position more specific. To sum up, the CEC is asking that motions 131, 133 and 134 be supported with the qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Does Southern accept the qualification on motion 131? Thank you. Does London accept the qualification on motion 133? Thank you. And does London accept the qualification on motion 134? Thank you. All those in favour of motion 131, please show. Any against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 133, please show. Any against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 134, please show. Any against? And that's carried. We'll continue now with the motions in industrial and economic policy in the private section. And could the mover of motion 124 please come to the rostrum?
Vice President, Congress, delegates, Matthew Brown, Wales and South West region, first time attendee. Colleagues, charting a just transition for maritime professionals. As members of trade unions, we hold a collective power and responsibility to shape the future of our industry, ensuring it remains sustainable, fair and just for all involved. The maritime industry is undergoing significant changes due to various factors, including technological advancements, environmental regulations, and shifts in global trade patterns. Whilst these changes bring opportunities for growth and innovation, they also pose challenges to our members. As the General Secretary said earlier, just transition is not a buzzword. It's a necessity to ensure the benefits of these changes are shared equitably and no worker is left behind. By proactively engaging in the transition, trade unions can negotiate job security measures and advocate for the creation of new roles within the industry. As we move towards greener technologies and practices, new jobs will emerge in such areas as renewable energy shipping, sustainable logistics, and digital navigation systems. Ensuring our members are at the forefront of these opportunities will secure their livelihoods and strengthen the industry as a whole. As trade union members and activists, it is crucial that we actively participate in discussions with industry stakeholders, including employers, governments, hopefully new ones soon, and international bodies. Congress believes the transition must be ambitious, timely, democratic, safe, equitable, diverse, funded, and therefore just. It must future-proof skills and training for workers, secure workplace safety, and protect and enhance pay and working conditions. Congress understands that in the shipping industry, achieving net zero by 2050 will require innovative technologies and the use of alternative fuels, having sufficient impact on those working in the industry. We welcome the CEC qualification, and I ask that you please support this motion. I move.
Thank you, Matthew. Seconder.
Vice President, comrades, Linda Moore, Wales and South West Region, seconding motion 124. Colleagues, a just transition emphasises the need for comprehensive training programmes. Us as trade unions must play a pivotal role in facilitating access to upskilling and reskilling opportunities. This will empower our members to adapt to new technologies and practices, enhancing their employability and ensuring they remain competitive in the evolving job market. The transition to a more sustainable maritime industry offers a chance to improve working conditions for our members. This includes negotiating for better safety standards, fair wages and decent working hours, ultimately leading to improved quality of life for our members. A just transition is linked to social justice. It seeks to address inequalities within the industry, ensuring that all workers, regardless of their background, have access to opportunities and are treated with respect and fairness. The GMB can champion diversity and inclusion initiatives, adopting a more equal industry where everyone can thrive. We should continuously advocate for the rights and welfare of our members. This includes lobby for supportive legislation, fair contracts and robust social protection. We agree with the CEC qualification to work collaboratively with other unions to help develop innovative solutions that benefit both our members and the environment. Congress, we need to chart a just transition for maritime workers now and for the future. Please support. I second.
Thank you, Linda. Mover 128.
Vice President, Congress, Mark Watson, London Region, moving motion 128 on the bell-to-bell working. The UK hospitality industry generates £70 billion of revenue for the UK every year. Yet despite this, its employment practices lag far behind those of other sectors. One such practice is bell-to-bell working, where workers are paid only for the time they spend at their workstations doing their work tasks. They are not paid for the time they spend preparing to begin their work or for movement to and from their workstations. For example, a line cook can spend 15 minutes or more after arrival at work, changing into uniform and preparing their workstations. After a long working day with typically erratic breaks, they will finish their shift. They will then spend another 15 or so minutes cleaning their station for the next day, which if added up is about 30 minutes a day, 2.5 hours a week, 168 hours a year, allowing for holidays or so, and considering a shift might be about 8 hours, that's 21 unpaid days a year. So long hours, irregular breaks, early starts and late finishes leave our workers with little personal time. Compelling workers to attend work without pay is unfair and exploitative. We call upon the GMB Union to investigate the practice of bell-to-bell working across the regions. And if it proves to be a problem, which it will, to make this an issue of priority, to champion on behalf of the hospitality workers, and fight against the exploitation of workers and improve their lives. Congress, support this motion to end bell-to-bell working across the hospitality industry. Congress, I move.
Thank you, Mark. Seconder.
Congress, President, Vice President, Dave Levy, London Region, seconding motion 128 on bell-to-bell working. The case for justice in this motion is clear and simple. We must oppose wage theft wherever it occurs. The CEC response correctly places the issue in the context of industrial action and industrial campaigns. But much of the work in our branch about wage theft, we respond with legal challenges and the attempts to take it to tribunal by alleging wage theft. My branch, the London Central General, has a number of members in retail and in hospitality where employers are shaving time off the period at which they're on site and for which they're paid. My co-delegate, Sarah Miller, in moving motion 134, brought out some egregious examples, and clearly the travel between the arrival on site and the workplaces is massive on the airports, not so much on department stores in the UK, in London. But the same thing applies. These examples I felt to be powerful, and I hope you did too. Maybe demands about paying people when they're on site rather than when they're at their workstations should have been included in the New Deal, and maybe our response should be political, not industrial. It's another issue to consider that it's not just that. So another issue to consider, though, is it's not just about wage theft. It's not just about the loss of income. That this is often or occasionally used for disciplinary action against individual workers who, while they arrive on time or fail to arrive on time, are capable of getting to the workplace on time. Certainly, I've had to deal with those. These people in low-coverage workplaces are members too, and they deserve the solidarity of the union where it is strong. Thank you. Please support this motion.
Thank you, Dave. Mover 129.
Vice President, Congress, Ian Davis, GMB Wales and South West Region, moving motion 129. Congress, there's an old saying about buses. We all know it. You wait forever for one and then two come along at the same time. But that is a story from a different age. For many of our communities, there isn't even a bus nowadays, as private companies cut back on expensive routes, more interested in putting pounds in shareholders' pockets than looking after its passengers. And while shareholders and pension pots win from this deal, the British public loses. In particular, it's the most vulnerable that lose out. The elderly, those with mobility issues, the sick and young people. They are the ones who can least afford this system of cutting back services and routes in the pursuit of private profits. Congress, buses are a union issue. Our members ride them, our members run them. And the current deal is not good for our members who work on the buses. Differing pay rates from area to area, and to be honest, not great rates either. It can't be right that a bus driver in Cardiff earns £1 more an hour than someone who lives in the same postcode but works in Pontypridd. So we need to take action, overhaul this timetable that doesn't work for working people. It's time for buses to be taken back into public ownership so that they provide for the people who need them. With a nationalised service, we can prioritise the service for those who most need them, and with inequality only rising and a rapidly ageing population, we have to act now. And as we go green, this is only going to become more of an issue. With the increased demand, there will be a call for more investment, and Congress, we can't afford to waste taxpayers' money in tough times as a payday for private investors. And for our members, we demand national collective bargaining so they can negotiate their rates across the board rather than have people pay different rates for doing the same job. Congress, it's time to take the buses back in-house. With all that we face in the next few years, this isn't a bus we can afford to miss. I move.
Thank you, Ian. Seconder. Seconder? Thank you. Does anyone wish to oppose any of the motions? No? I'll now call Sue Walker on behalf of CEC. Sue?
Vice President, Congress. Sue Walker speaking on behalf of the CEC on motions 124, 128 and 129. On motion 124, we support the aims of this motion. Our qualification is that some of the bargaining units expressed may be covered by our sister unions, such as the RMT and or Nautilus. We will not encroach on or interfere with those areas of union membership, but support their campaigns where appropriate. On motion 128, the CEC is supportive of the members wishing to combat encroachment on their time and money through the practice outlined. Our small qualification is that the starting point for research on this issue should be with evidence gathering from the branches affected and planning and organising campaign. And finally, on motion 129, we are seeking to support the motion with qualifications. The first is to note that municipal-owned bus companies continue to be successful where they have survived, including in Nottingham, Reading, Edinburgh and Cardiff. We should in no way withdraw the support that GMB Congress 2023 expressed for defending and extending the municipal ownership of buses. It is also Congress policy to support re-regulation of bus services through franchising. It should also be noted that decisions over the future of national and local bargaining arrangements are not matters to be determined by Congress and must instead remain in the hands of our members who work in the relevant industries. So to sum up, Congress, the CEC is asking for motions 124, 128 and 129 to be supported with the qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Does Wales and South Wales accept the qualification on motion 124? Thank you. Does London accept the qualification on motion 128? Thank you. And does Wales South West accept the qualification on motion 129? Thank you. All those in favour of motion 124, please show. Any against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 128, please show. Any against? That's carried. And all those in favour of motion 129, please show. Any against? That's carried. We move on to motions 135, 136, 137, 138 and 139. Can the mover 135 please come to the rostrum, and the rest of the speakers in this round of motions please make themselves ready.
Vice President, Congress, a good afternoon to you. My name is David Munyemweri. I come from London region, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Everyone can see that driving standards right across the country have gone down. Professional drivers, such as London taxi drivers, used to have to pass an additional driver's test to be allowed to drive the streets of London. This has now stopped. How can a professional drivers like taxi and private hire drivers be held in high esteem as they once were if they cannot set themselves apart from the normal motorists? Bus and lorry drivers both must complete a series of tests to qualify for their license. Raising the standards for both taxi and private hire drivers would increase safety on the road and for the traveling public and the others. Congress, I now ask you to support this motion, and as I move motion 135. Thank you very much.
Well done.
seconder, please, for motion 135.
President, Congress, Jimmy Golding, London Region, seconding motion 135. London Region accepts that we need to improve road standards, as if our private hire taxi drivers are to be classed as professional drivers, they do need a higher degree of driving awareness and ability. You must agree that we need to make our roads safer, and we are asking for national standards for all drivers. Please support this. Thank you.
Well done, Jimmy. Thank you. Mover of motion 136.
Afternoon, Congress. Madam President. Congress, anything that prevents our taxi drivers and our private hire drivers from going to work must be addressed. It is the responsibility of licensing authorities right across the country to make sure their drivers are fit and healthy. If a driver has been ill, that local authority may ask for more information about why he was ill. This information must be gained from the driver's GP or his consultant. Once the driver has responded, some licensing authorities are taking months to clear the driver for work, even though their own GP or consultant has passed them fit. We cannot allow this to continue. We demand that our drivers are given the go-ahead to work within a maximum period of 21 days. They expect us to respond to them. Therefore, we should have a reciprocal agreement where they respond the same to us. With the help of those who seek our help, GMB Assembly members, councillors and MPs, action must be taken in every local authority to demand change for the better for our member drivers. I move.
Thank you, Mike. Seconder.
President, Congress, Alison Cunningham from the London region, and I'm a first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Seconding motion 136, medical timeline. When somebody or a driver has been off ill and away from work, whether it's for a short-term or long-term illness, they should be made fit to return to work by their doctor or medical professional. If they're fit for work, they need a confirmed date of when they can return to work to ensure that they can make up for their loss of earnings and in order to pay bills and support their families through our current living crisis. There should be no delay in members being able to return to work if they're fit to do their jobs. It doesn't happen in other sectors, so why does it happen to these drivers and these members? We understand the importance of health and fitness for drivers in their jobs and for the road safety and for their safety and the public. But this motion highlights that there may be an unnecessary delay in these drivers getting back to work when this can also add, and possibly cause them further stress, depression and a relapse of their illness. We need to raise this issue both through the powers that regulating licensing authorities and maybe the HSC. Congress aware that prevents our taxi and private hire driver members from going to work must be addressed. It is the responsibility of every licensing authority to make sure their drivers are fit and healthy, sometimes asking for more information from the driver. Once the driver has responded, it can currently take months for the relevant licensing authorities to make a decision for our drivers' members' livelihoods. This cannot be right. Please support. I second.
Well done, Alison. Thank you. Mover of motion 137, please.
Congress. Madam President, my opinion moving motion 137, just not good enough. Congress, taxi and private hire drivers right across the country are being treated like second-class citizens, like a number on a page, and not as a valued worker. Local authorities demand a response to any letter that they write to our drivers within a 7, 14, 21 day period, with threats of revocation if they don't respond to these letters in a timely manner. However, these local authorities, I can't read my writing, these local authorities can then take up to a month or more to respond to our drivers' responses, leaving our members in limbo, not knowing whether or not their livelihoods are in jeopardy. We as a union must seek support from those, again, who seek support from us. Our GMB London Assembly members, our councillors, our MPs, must demand that these local authorities hold themselves to the same criteria that they expect their drivers to conform to. Responses to drivers in a reasonable time must be given to our drivers, for our drivers' peace of mind, and not leave them in limbo. I move.
Thank you, Mike. Well done. Seconder.
President Congress, Tony Crook, London Region, seconding motion 137. First time speaker, first time delegate. As Mike said, we must make sure our members are treated the same as other members with regards to the local authorities taking their time with important paperwork and letters from our members, to which the members can lose their right to earn a decent living. We must now show support for this motion and put the necessary pressure on the authorities to make sure this happens. I second this motion.
Thank you, Tony. Mover of motion 138.
President, Congress, Ali Haidor, Southern Region. Moving motion 138, holiday from hell for taxi and private hire drivers. Congress on the 1st of July, Transport for London plans to extend its current policy on the requirement of a certificate of good conduct/character. The policy will change from covering from 3 years to 10 years from the date of driver's licence application. It will now also include holidays and extended breaks for those who spend 3 months or more outside the UK during that period. However, no evidence has been provided to support and justify this move. Congress, obtaining such certificate is very difficult, costly, and at times the process can be complex and slow, with the requirements in different countries with different processes. Some drivers may need to get certificates from multiple countries, making it even more complicated and delayed and dangerous. Congress, our recent survey shows that our members finding this policy to be racist and unfair towards certain communities in our society. It clearly targets and impacts those from Black, Asian and global majority. Congress, there is no national consistency for these requirements for drivers, yet Transport for London wishes to go ahead with its plan. Congress, instead of listening to our members, the Transport for London refers to Home Office guidelines to back up their plan, as if it's something that we should take as comfort. Congress, is this the same Home Office run by squatters from number 10? Is this the same Home Office that still has the odour of one Suella Braverman? Congress, I find no comfort in Home Office to apply fairness. Licensee authorities like Transport for London must take our members' concerns seriously and void rules that is unfair and over the top. Because for the last 14 years, the Tory governments have influenced and infected departments like Home Office and Department for Transport with their right-wing behaviour and ideas, which are now bearing fruit as they like it. It's time for the Tories to go. It's time for fair and balanced taxi and private hire national policies for all. It's time we fight all forms of racism, including indirect racism, which hides behind so-called public safety measures. Congress, together, let's strive for a future where justice and equality flourish for all. Congress, please support this motion. I move.
Thank you, Ali. Well done. Seconder.
President, Congress, Sylvester Jeb, Branch President G50, Central Region, seconding motion 138, holiday from help for taxi and private hire drivers. Congress, today I stand before you to express my deep concerns and opposition to these introductory changes by some authorities of the policy that will undoubtedly create a holiday from hell for taxi and private drivers. This policy, planned by the Transport of London and other licensing authority, is not only flawed, but also discriminatory and outright racist-oriented plan. Tory government, their guardian's recommendation to licensing authorities to introduce a policy of requiring a certificate of good conduct or character is deeply problematic that goes with financial commitments to the applicants. Not only is this certificate costly, but it is also difficult to obtain from certain countries. In fact, obtaining such a certificate can be dangerous in some cases. If an individual have traveled to multiple countries, such as a world cruise or extensive travel, they will be required to provide a certificate from each and every single country they have entered. This is not only burdensome, but also disproportionate and unfair. It is important to note that those who require long holidays or extended breaks are often individuals with families, friends, and connections outside the UK. This policy directly targets and affects communities, particularly those from Black, Asian, and global backgrounds. Any policy that disproportionately impacts on one particular section of the community is inherently racist and has no place in our society. In a fair and just society, policies must be balanced and fair, ensuring equal treatment from all individuals. There is no evidence to suggest that this policy will improve safety. In conclusion, I urge the licensing authorities to reconsider and avoid such discriminatory racist something. We must strive for a society that operates fairness, equality, and justice. Congress, please support, and I second.
Thank you. Mover of motion 139, please.
President, Congress. Andrew Hewitt, London Region, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Moving motion 139. On the 14th of December 2023, with only 2 weeks' notice and 1 week before Christmas, GMB members were informed by Heathrow Airport that staff car park charges would be increasing by 200%, a trebling of their parking costs. This is an appalling, extortionate rise for low-paid workers in a cost-of-living crisis, a cost that is incurred by part-time and full-time staff, irrespective of how often the car park is used, even when off sick or on leave. Heathrow Airport has admitted the increase was not a profit-based decision and claim it is being imposed by the Civil Aviation Authority. The CAA's own regulations require months of consultation and prior notification before implementation. We saw none. Local MPs have been contacted. It has been raised with Parliament whilst petitions have been made to the Aviation Minister. We are losing members over this. I urge Congress to support our members whose hard work makes the airport a highly lucrative business and demand that Heathrow Airport reverse this change. I move.
Thank you, Andrew. Seconder.
President, Congress, Bruce Wilmot, London Region. Just as we choose where to live and where to work, some might say you also choose how you get to work. But to an extent, that's true. However, I work at Heathrow Airport, and working at a busy airport such as London Heathrow brings other challenges. Many, if not the majority of our members who work at the airport work shifts, many of those long 12-hour shifts. Because of the unsociable start and finish times of those patterns, public transport is just not an option for them, a safe and available alternative to using their cars. These members are already smarting from the daily cost of the ULEZ charge. To overnight be presented with the trebling of the fee for parking their vehicle is nothing short of scandalous. At least 1,000 low-paid workers were affected by this increase. Our members are not handsomely paid flight crew, nor other highly paid individuals. Often they are working on or near minimum wage. They can't afford such increases, especially when the cost of living crisis has had such a devastating effect on already tight budgets. Let's use the GMB's collective voice to add fuel to our campaign and help us shout louder about this to the re-elected Mayor Sadiq Khan and, hopefully, a newly elected Labour government. For a real deal for working people, Congress, I urge you to support this motion. I second.
Thank you, Bruce. Is anyone opposing these motions? No. In that case, can I call CC Speaker Dave Flanagan? And while he comes to the rostrum, can I call speakers for motions 249, 250, 109 and 114 to the front, please?
President, Congress, Dave Flanagan, North Western Irish Region, responding to motions 135, 137, 138 and 139 on behalf of the CEC. First, turning to motion 135, the explanation received from the branch stated that driving standards in the private hire and taxi industry had gone down. Further information and research will be needed to uphold this claim. There is also a question as to what metrics this should apply to, such as the old DVSA-administered taxi driving assessments. As this is potentially a barrier to employment, we would need to engage with the membership nationally on this issue after conducting further research. Therefore, we're asking for this motion to be referred. On motion 137, we are seeking to support the motion with two qualifications. The first is to note that some of the timetables that relate to suspension and revocation of notices are set out in primary legislation and are not at the discretion of local authorities. The second is to acknowledge that while 14 days will likely be reasonable in most cases, a substantive reply may take longer in some other cases, depending on their complexity. On motion 138, the CEC recognises the injustices that the motion rightly highlights. Fundamentally, though, the requirement of a certificate of good character disproportionately affects people who have family overseas and who are overwhelmingly from a minority ethnic background. We agree that a better and fairer balance needs to be struck across all local authorities. At a national level, GMB will work with regions to ensure local authorities adopt standards that respect the diversity of drivers impacted by any proposed changes and campaign against those that have introduced unnecessarily punitive standards. Our qualification is that we will seek to work with the Labour Party through their commitment to ensure there are national minimum licensing standards across local authorities, and we will incorporate our work on other private hire and taxi motions into those broader efforts with an incoming Labour government. Finally, on motion 139, the CEC would like to make it clear that we support the calls in this motion and join with the branch in calling on Heathrow to reverse this needless and damaging change. In line with the approach to previous motions that primarily affect a single workplace, we are asking that the motion be referred to London Region and if appropriate Southern, which is better placed to lobby local MPs, the London Mayor and the Government to take forward its demands. Therefore, Congress, we are asking that motions 135 and 139 be referred and motions 137 and 138 be carried with those qualifications set out. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Does London Region accept to refer motion 135? Yep. Do you accept the qualification on motion 137? Thank you. Does Southern accept the qualification on motion 138? Thank you. And does London accept to refer motion 139? Thank you. So I'll just take the votes on 136. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Any against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 137, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. All those in favour of motion 138, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. We now move on to motions under social policy transport. So could I have a mover of motion 249 to the rostrum, please?
Afternoon, President and Congress. Donna Paget, North East, Yorkshire and Humber, moving motion 249, making disabled bus passes 24-hour usage. First time at Congress, first time speaker. I rely on buses to get to and from work every day, and in June of 2021, regretfully, I had a stroke. However, I have survived such things. However, due to this particular area, I had to stop driving. I have since relied on public services, and I was happy and eligible for a disabled bus pass. I was hoping at this stage that that would actually cost me little money. However, on the first day of use, it came to my attention that I could only use this item from 9:30 to 11 a.m. Like most working people with disabilities, we need to be able to be on a bus before 9 a.m. to get to and from our workplace. Because the congressional travel isn't valid until 9:30, this leaves an amount of spending which approximately for myself is actually £500 per year, even with this particular pass. Over 1 in 5 people in the UK are disabled, and in July of 2021, Government UK released a segment titled Job Transport, National Disability Strategy and Explained, which outlined the way in which they wanted the world for more and exclusive accessibility and improving the accessibility and experience for everyday journey. Essentially, encouraging those who are able to work and want to work with disabilities. Congress, but what is the point of offering a pass when you can't even use it when you need to use it? Many disabled people face obstacles to working due to direct of their disability. This limits the range of their jobs and even the consideration of what they may face. Some people who are disabled face additional obstacles to get to work and are prohibited from actually driving. They may have to take a longer or even a lower paid job to get to and from work or even part-time. Congress, following disabled people to travel on buses for free at any time, would help disabled people to work and encourage them to even actually travel further if need be. The government set the statutory time for a disabled person to use this particular bus pass from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. However, in London, you can actually use the bus pass before 9:30. It is not fair for people less rights and independence of mobility just because they don't live actually in the capital. Congress, I am asking GMB to call upon the government to show that they are serious about supporting disabled people into employment by allowing the bus passes to be used before 9:30 in the morning, so that thousands of disabled people are able to get to and from work and participate in the labour market. Please support this movement. I move.
Well done, Donna. Thank you. Seconder for motion 249.
President Congress, Philip Steer, speaking in support of 249 from North East Yorkshire and Humber region. I still can't get that one right. As my colleague just said about people that work with disabilities, it's not just about them, it's people that want to work, that can't work because they can't get the jobs, because they can't afford to get the transport. Right? The bus pass would also let them get to interviews that they might get at 9 o'clock in the morning. What's the point of paying out money to go somewhere at 9:30 at 9 o'clock in the morning when you've got a bus pass at 9:30? Yeah, well, but there's also a downside to it, right? The government want people back in work, disabled people back in work. Yeah, fine, no problems. To get registered as disabled, you've got to go for an assessment. If you don't go for that assessment, they won't class you as disabled. They won't give you any money towards your transport or living allowances, so you're in a worse situation to start with. All right? You need to get to these appointments. If you don't get to them, you're stuffed at full stop. Please support this motion. Thank you.
Well done, Philip. Thank you. We have the mover of motion 250, please.
President, Congress, Mickey Brady, North Western Irish, moving motion 250. In 2016, the Ask for Angela scheme was introduced by Lincolnshire County Council to offer support in bars and other venues such as gyms, leisure centres for those who feel under threat of sexual harassment or assault. The scheme has been rolled out throughout the UK and is gaining momentum internationally, with countries such as the USA, Australia, Canada and New Zealand now using the scheme. However, those under the threat of violence, sexual or otherwise, do not always have ready access to a safe place or venue to avail of the scheme, as many assaults and incidents such as coercive control can occur in victims' own homes or places familiar to them, as in the case of Angela Crompton, who the scheme was named after, who was assaulted by her husband during a domestic dispute and died in hospital 2 days later. Her husband was convicted of manslaughter. During such incidents of domestic abuse or assaults, many victims must leave quickly with nothing but the clothes they are wearing, without the means to enable them to distance themselves from the threat in a timely fashion. Colleagues, bear in mind that it is possible that incidents such as these could easily affect a friend or a family member, and it is for this reason that a scheme similar to the Ask for Angela model should be implemented throughout public transport systems, which will allow victims to remove themselves from the risks they are facing as quickly as possible. The scheme would ensure that the public transport workers are provided with suitable and adequate training to enable them to provide safe transport for victims to a place of safety, such as a police station or specialised refuge or shelter. I call on Congress to urge GMB at national level to spearhead a campaign in support of this motion, which will involve lobbying politicians at national, devolved and local levels to embrace such a scheme. We also need to encourage public transport companies to buy into the scheme to ensure that unfortunate victims of domestic abuse are given a vital lifeline to remove themselves from potentially life-threatening situations. Please support the motion. I move.
Thank you, Michael. Seconder.
Good afternoon. Alan Malcolm, XO2 branch, North Western Irish region. President, Congress, I will be seconding motion 250. Congress, as a union, we should be lobbying for free transport for victims of domestic abuse and their dependents, a measure akin to the previously aforementioned successful Ask for Angela scheme. Domestic abuse victims often face significant barriers when trying to escape dangerous situations, with transportation being a major obstacle. By providing free transport, we can offer them a lifeline, ensuring they have safe and accessible means to reach shelters, support services, or the homes of trusted friends and family. This initiative would demonstrate our commitment to protecting the most vulnerable members of our society, offering them a tangible route to safety and support. Just as Ask for Angela empowers individuals to discreetly seek help in public venues, free transport for abuse victims would be a powerful tool in our collective effort to combat domestic violence and provide hope and security to those in desperate need. Congress, I urge you to back this motion. I second.
Thank you, Alan. Does anybody wish to speak in opposition to those motions? No? Then I can ask Carol Robertson from the CEC, please.
President Congress, Carol Robertson responding to motion 250 on behalf of the CEC. The CEC is supportive of the aims of this motion. The CEC's qualification is that the submitting branch would be well placed to undertake a trial campaign within their employer, campaigning for this provision locally. Campaigning support and advice can be sought regionally and nationally. If successful locally, this would provide excellent learning for a potential future nationwide campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. CEC are supporting motion 249, so all those in favour of motion 249, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. Does North Western Irish accept the qualification on motion 250? Where are you? Yep, you're there. Do you accept? Yep, thank you. All those in favour of motion 250? Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. We now move on to motions, our last two motions of the day, actually, before this statement. Under Industrial and Economic Policy General, can mover motion of 109 come to the rostrum, please?
Motion 109, Amazon and Public Procurement. Good afternoon to the President and the table and the delegates in attendance. My name is Garfield Hilton, a Midlands Region delegate. I'm a second-time delegate and second-time speaker. This Congress notes that Amazon made £222 million from the government and other public sector contracts in 2022, yet Amazon refuses to recognise GMB Union and has spent millions of pounds on union busting to block statutory recognition in 2023. The moment the application was submitted, they went on a recruitment drive and hired 1,300 new staff, which led to the application being withdrawn. The workers had to regroup and push again, talking to our brothers and sisters, sharing our hopes and dreams for better pay and conditions. We spent a further 8 months planning our strategy and then executed it this year. Standing at 1,400 members, almost half the current workforce, we encourage non-members to vote. We want yes. Amazon has gone into overdrive. They want no. As I speak at Congress today, we have been subjected to 5 weeks and counting of daily briefings, messages as you enter the building, in the toilets, in the cubicles, managers seeking to find indecisive ones to get them to cancel their GMB membership, constantly bombarding day and night shift for the message, you're free to join or not to join a union. Why pay while you wait for a ballot? You can cancel your GMB subscription anytime by scanning the QR code with your phone. Amazon Associates, as we're labelled, respond by using My Voice, the internal messaging system. When we say something that is deemed to be inappropriate, the message is removed. Censorship is applied so no one else can see what has been said. Here is an example from me, but it wasn't deleted this time. I want to point this out. On the feedback form provided by Amazon titled Ballots Can Be Decided by One Vote, it states that no one should tell us how to vote. I pointed this out to HR in the meeting, who told us that if we're undecided, we should vote no. I counter. Shouldn't that be simply you decide how to vote and not HR saying vote no? The general manager's now come back on my reply. Hi Garfield, because we're quite good friends at this point in time. All Amazonians should respect associates' right to vote without influence, and I believe I've even mentioned this in all teams last month. Regards, Gareth. Give the GM credit, he's really trying now, but as I've told him in the past conversation, it's 4 years too late. Let me now bring the motion to conclusion. We further note the commitment from the Labour Party leader Sir Keir Starmer at Congress 2023. There is a framework for public procurement at the heart of which is dignity and respect, and we expect to see unionised jobs and support unionised industries. Congress calls upon Sir Keir Starmer and his Labour Party to address the employer abuse of the position of power over the workers, to give us hope and belief that we, the workers, are important and valued members of society who support and promote economic growth for the UK. We don't demand much, but we certainly want more than 50p. We want fair pay, treated with dignity and respect, and stop being slave-driven. This Congress strongly believes that it is wrong for public money to be paid out to companies that deliberately conspire to obstruct and deny workers' right to union recognition. It cannot be right that workers who pay for UK taxes see their money go to companies who refuse to sit down and negotiate trade unions. Right, we therefore resolve to campaign to commit the next Labour government to outlaw public sector contracts being granted to companies that do not recognise trade unions, ensure that this legislation applies to every part of the corporate empire. So, for instance, Amazon Web Services Limited would not be allowed to bid for public contracts if Amazon UK Services Limited or any other arm of the entity refuses to recognise trade unions. These commitments must form part of the Labour Party manifesto for the next general election. Only by doing this can we implement Sir Keir Starmer's pledge to introduce a framework for public procurement of dignity, respect and unionised jobs. Now is the time to rein Amazon in and make them pay. I'm putting my faith in you, Sir Keir Starmer, and the incoming Labour Party to make good of those words from our past conversation. Thank you. I move this motion.
Yeah, well said, Garfield. Seconder, please.
President, Congress, I'm Seferina Floresca, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Thank you. Today we stand united in our unwavering commitment to uphold the fundamental rights of workers across our nation. The motion before us strikes at the very core of what it means to champion fairness and justice, and I'm proud to say that the CEC stands firmly in support of its aims. It is indeed unconscionable that public funds are being funneled into the coffers of employers like Amazon, who flagrantly disregard the basic rights of their workers. The GMB staunchly believes that those who deploy insidious tactics, spending millions to stifle workers' efforts to organize, should not be rewarded with lucrative public contracts. This is not merely a matter of policy, it is a moral imperative that demands our collective action. For years, the GMB has been at the forefront of this vital campaign, tirelessly advocating for change. Through rigorous engagement with the National Policy Forum, we have secured crucial commitments aimed at reshaping the landscape of public procurement. Moreover, the words of Keir Starmer during last year's GMB Congress resonate deeply with our cause. His words are not just rhetoric, they signify a seismic shift in the way our society perceives and values the rights of all workers. In conclusion, let us march forward with renewed vigor and determination. The road ahead may be fraught with challenges, but we are fortified by our collective resolve and unwavering dedication to the cause. Together, let us continue to be the voice of the voiceless, the champions of justice in an ever-changing world. Congress, please support this motion. Thank you.
Well done, and perfect timing too with your first speech. Well done. Mover of motion 114, please.
Hello, good afternoon, Congress. Daniel Lowe from North East Yorkshire and Humberside. First time delegate, first time speaker. Just bear with me, it's the first time I've ever done it like this before. I'm panicking. I'm proud to be a convener for Viola Sheffield. I'm looking after 200 colleagues working on the bins. I'm moving in motion 114. I get involved in the union because when we stand side by side, we can win for the workers and stand to be a convener because I want to do my best for the lads. I want to be treated fairly, and I want to get them the best pay deal I can get. I want to make sure that we get good quality service and run the bins properly as it should. But the job is made harder when odds are stacked against us. I cannot be the right company for the bosses, responsible when it breaks the rules for profit and expenses for workers. Obviously, my colleagues deserve fair wage for a fair job, and a job service, that community and job, that should be not just for profit. So, Congress, please support this motion.
Well done, Daniel. Well done. Seconder, please.
President, Congress, James Tate, North Tyneside, proud member of North East Yorkshire and Humber region. First time speaker and first time delegate. Standing to second motion 114. Congress, only a few years ago, if you told me I'd be stood here speaking on a motion at a major trade union event, I wouldn't have believed you. I didn't really know what a trade union was and certainly didn't come from a political family, and this world felt 1,000 miles from my own. But that changed when I noticed that my local GMB was changing in my workplace through active campaigning, starting to change the things that happened to me and my colleagues at work for the better. Becoming active in the union has given me a new perspective and made me want to play my part in changing things for the better. That's why I'm seconding this motion to call out all those business leaders who take the mick out of their workforce every day. I'm talking about the individuals who are committed purely to profit without any social conscience or care for their communities, and will put everything second to profit, causing suffering and hardship, sometimes failing through shady and dubious business practices and getting away with it as the employees suffer. With a new government looming, we have a chance to make sure that these company owners and directors are subject to strong checks and balances. I've seen what we can do locally when we are member-led, active and driven by the issues that matter to our members. We can make a real difference. I know that by using our collective strength, we can do that nationally as well. Congress, I can honestly say that being a part of the union movement has changed my life, and I now want to be part of changing many more lives. Please support this motion. I second.
Well done, James. Anyone opposing those two motions? No? Then can I ask Brian Farr to give the CEC response, please?
President, Congress. Brian Farr responding on motion 109 on behalf of the CEC. The CEC fully support the aims of the motion. It is beyond belief that public money is being spent on employers that do not respect the fundamental workers' rights. GMB agree that union busting, spending millions to stop workers organising should not get public contracts. We have long campaigned on this issue, and the GMB secured commitment through the National Policy Forum on social valuing weightings that included union access, recognition in contracts, and holding strategic government supplies to account. Keir Starmer has responded to a question from Amazon workers in Congress in 2023, said there is a framework for public procurement at the heart of which is dignity and respect. And we expect to see the unionised jobs and support unionised industries. Our qualification is that the GMB has a formal role set in the Labour Manifesto under Clause 5 of the Labour Party rulebook, during which we do not have the power to mandate the Labour Party, and that our decision will need to be taken based on the overall balance of the comments in this document. Before I close, I will say that I don't know how many remember Paul Kenny, but we fought for procurement then when Paul Kenny was in office, when they shut all our employee factories. But believe me, this union will fight for public procurement for as long as there's breath in Gary's body and as long as there's breath in Barbara's body. So thank you, Congress.
Thank you, Brian. Does Midlands accept the qualification on motion 109? Yep. Does all those in favour then of motion 109 please show? Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. And the CEC are supporting motion 114. All those in favour of motion 114 please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. We are now debating our first CEC statement of the week on the future of trade union education. A delegate from each region will be invited to speak on the report, and I will call the regions in alphabetical order once the statement has been moved. The two motions, motion 45 and motion 46, have both been withdrawn. So can I ask Kevin Buchanan and Kevin Jones to move and second this statement on behalf of the CEC, and then the speakers from the region come down, be ready at the rostrum, at the front. Thank you.
Thank you, President Congress. Kevin Buchanan, moving the statement on the future of trade union education. Knowledge is democratic and priceless, yet it is hard-won. Wealth, privilege and capital are never going to provide us with the tools we need to restructure the existing order in favour of the working class. We need to build afresh, and to do so in our own image, with our members' interests at heart. The CEC statement sets out a roadmap for doing precisely this. Building on the successes of the past, acknowledging the gains made in Wales, where devolved government is delivering opportunities for our members and seeing our lay activists as our most valuable assets. We acknowledge and appreciate all those who have already progressed through our training programmes and who were helped in core subjects and competencies through our structures and government-funded schemes. Most pressingly, in the here and now, our members need to be trained and educated in order to equip them to fight in a challenging and constantly changing terrain. This means supplementing core functional skills and thinking afresh about the provision of language courses for those members new to these shores and from many diverse global majority backgrounds for whom English is not their first language. This means looking again at the ways in which we can equip each and every member with a thorough understanding of our own union, our history, our democracy, our governance. And within the context of the workplace, enabling them to represent members when and whatever circumstance confronts them. It also means arming them with a grounding in political economy that allows them to see both the hows and the whys that underpin the world of work and how we change it collectively. This requires doing the work for ourselves and not relying upon governments of any complexion to shape our thoughts and responses. This will not be an overnight process, but one which re-examines the nature of reps training, which enables potential to flourish, and which matches training and personal development with trade union education and an appreciation of the collective. We look to an expanded role for the lay member Lifelong Learning Committee, recognising the wonderful work already undertaken day in, day out by our regional education officers, and envisage the establishment of a Level 3 Trade Union Studies Diploma run through Northern College alongside all our current provisions. Pilot programmes will in time grow into larger courses rolled out across all regions and all levels of the Union. But for now, this is a good place to begin, through a recognition that knowledge is power, that increasing our skills base is a sure way to growing our Union, and that there should never be barriers set upon our ideas, our dreams or our aspirations. We lose when we self-censor, when we disparage learning and intellect, when we consider the battlefield of ideas and ideals as for others and not for us. We win when we consider the power of words and when we are empowered and fueled by visions of a better, more egalitarian future. As a consequence, I would urge Congress to back the CEC Statement on Education as a practical, powerful and transformative means of refashioning, enhancing and strengthening trade union education. The absence of reason all too often produced monsters in the darkness of the night who have denied human rights and trade union liberties, who have silenced voices and squandered ability, knowing the price of everything and the value of nothing. Our role as trade unionists is to dispel the clouds that have choked the breath in our movement since 1979 and to ensure that true democracy of ideas flourishes for everybody. Raising standards across the board, shedding light into the darkest corners of the land and making our union and our movement once again a shining beacon that cannot be ignored and which is uniquely valued by our members, their families and their workmates. Congress, I move the statement.
Thank you, Kevin. Can I have the other Kevin to the rostrum, please?
President, Congress, Kevin Jones, seconding the CC statement. Sometimes it is best to do exactly what it says in the tin. As a union, we need to be clear in differentiating between education and training. The two arms complement one another, but necessitate different approaches and lead to different results. The CC statement recognises this reality and seeks to refocus the union's policies towards delivering what our activists need to grow their skills and skill sets. And the GMB, as a campaigning and organising union, this requires a fundamental shift in our thinking, and we need to be a serious funding commitment, a meaningful investment in our own people, and an approach that encourages critical thinking, a focus upon workforce organisation, and a deep and lasting engagement with the history, culture and development of the labour movement. In carrying this statement, she seeks to instill our members the deep understanding of these issues, the love of this union and of the wider labour movement. We need to recognise the government funding from Westminster is unlikely to refloat the Union Learn project. It was never designed to affect the outcomes that we, as a trade unionists, passionately needed and desired. This CC statement provides an analysis of past practice and current thinking, and which seeks to chart a roadmap to a future enriched by an increased skills base, better, higher and meaningful training, and an educative process rooted in the experiences, possibilities and the aims of the labour movement. We acknowledge that the continuing relevance and vibrancy of our region's learning funds. We welcome the game-changing initiatives of our regional education officers and the involving role of the lay members-led Lifelong Learning Committee. Congress, we have set out our very best when we think and act as one. The approach outlined in the CE statement matches theory with practice and commits the Union to addressing education as a priority. It offers the prospect of adding one more link to the chain of GMB's great history, and I wholeheartedly urge you to back it. I second the CEC statement.
Thank you, Kevin. Can I have a speaker from London Region, please?
Nicola Waugh, London Region, speaking on CEC statement on trade union education. London Region broadly welcomes the CEC statement. In the London Region, we have a strong and varied core programme for workplace representatives, hampered only by the swinging cuts to the funding for TU adult education imposed year on year by the Conservative government. The call for the restoration of full funding for training of reps and post holders is central to ensuring that we continue to have the ability to train and educate them. It should, however, come with real consideration as to how this funding would be administered and distributed. The CEC is correct that the old model of the Union Learning Fund would not be and never was fit for purpose. It's staggering to see the level of funding, 12 million, that was received by the GMB produce so little in real benefit for our activists and the wider membership. Much of that money was spent on achieving and reporting government-set outcomes which often did not reflect the needs of our movement. The TUC may well be distancing themselves from the old model, but it must now stand front and centre and come up with a sustainable and visionary approach to TU education funding. The loss of nearly all the trade union study centres, once a focal point of collaborative learning and activist development, is something that should be reversed at the soonest opportunity. Only full funding will see their return. The TUC needs to re-establish itself as a leading proponent of the training and education within the organised labour movement, and ensuring that all funding is directed for the benefit of TU members and not wasted on bureaucracy and government box-tick initiatives. But in addition to funding, we also have many of the answers and solutions right here in our own union. Developing our own programmes, training resources and people without an over-reliance on funding from external sources. The GMB has and is running some great programmes, as mentioned in the CEC statement, such as the GRASP programme. Leadership training and some regional initiatives back up the vision of restoring pride in the values of the labour movement. What is needed are more resources to develop these further. Let's not repeat the mistakes of the past. Campaign for a full return of funding for TU education, but this time, let's ensure that the benefits go directly to our activists and our members. The CEC statement looks to take us exactly to that point.
Thank you, Nicola. Speaker from Midlands region. Midlands.
David Wallace, Midlands region. Congress, President. For me, it's good to see that the Union is starting to develop courses that are going to train our activists who want to develop their careers to go on to become officers of the Union, councillors or MPs, as the level 3 qualification will then give them access to university. But to get to this level, some of our members will need help at level 2 so they can access level 3, but there is nothing in place to help them achieve this, and it's important as a level 3 to these members. Educating our members is not all about what they can do in the GMB, but it may also help them develop in their work role if they move up to supervisory roles. And hopefully they will be more sympathetic to our union members. It says in the report that the academic and professional qualifications from the Lifelong Learning Fund were negligible. Is there any wonder? There were only 3 out of 8 regions who had projects. And if the members of the regions who did not have projects did not know where to look on the website, they would not know about the courses that were on there for them free. Please support this motion.
Thank you, David. Speaker from North East Yorkshire and Humber.
Davy Gray, North Western Irish region, speaking in support of the CEC statement, The Future of Trade Union Education. President, Congress, as we are aware, the GMB already supplies excellent training for our reps through the regional education officers. However, throughout the history of the labour movement, there have been people who have gained an education in order to advance the aims of the working class. With this objective in mind, the CEC statement wishes to expand lay activist training and is asking the GMB to campaign for full funding for trade union and adult education at level 3 across the whole of the UK. And to that end, we are of the opinion that the proposed GMB Trade Union Studies Diploma will increase the confidence and ability of our lay reps and benefit working people generally. We support the continued commitment by the Welsh Government to the Welsh Union Learning Fund and will campaign to have this extended to all countries across the UK. However, it is the GMB's contention that the previous Union Learning Fund that functioned in England was not fit for purpose in that it was controlled by the government agency and not by the trade unions. And there is a caveat, indeed, of the £12 million received since 2009 by the GMB, 8 million went to administrators and managers and therefore not delivering for working people and eventually producing a low level of positive outcomes. Thus, the old model did not fit the principles of the GMB. We need to construct a GMB model for further education that reflects the aspirations of our members and the general working class movement. Therefore, to use the old battle cry, educate, educate and organise, we need to get support for our people in order to get them into positions where they can influence how power is used to the benefit of the workers. That means giving our members the education, ability and confidence to control the levers of power, whether that be in local councils, Westminster or the Cabinet, and the aim of improving conditions for working people. And who knows, perhaps we can produce people who can emulate the giants of the labour movement in the past, people such as Nye Bevan, who through education rose to benefit the working people of this country with the National Health Service. So, colleagues, let's put the slogan, power to the people, into practice, and I believe this is the first step to achieving the same. Congress, please support the report.
Thank you. Speaker from North Western Irish Region. That was Speaker from North Western Irish Region. Have I got? Okay, so it's Scotland.
President Congress, Elizabeth Aarons, GMB Scotland, speaking in support of the CEC statement. Congress, reps are the crucial link between union officers and the wider membership. Without reps, the whole workplace and union structure falls apart. The more we invest in the development of our reps, giving them the skills and knowledge they need, the more our union will grow and the stronger it will be. But it has to be the right kind of education that meets the needs of our members, not the needs of the state. It must build power between workers in the workplace so that it can be applied beyond, not between bureaucrats. It must educate members, not just on the labour movement's past, but also on its future. This is how our union becomes modern and relevant to workers on their shop floor. This is how our union thrives. Congress, support the statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Southern.
Congress President, Kim Marshall, Southern Region, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Speaking in support of the CEC statement, The Future of Trade Union Education. Congress, I've benefited from some of the excellent training delivered by Southern Region, training to assist me in my role, giving me a more in-depth knowledge of the legal acts, standards and policies, helping me to provide the support members deserve. Whilst we welcome the statement, We believe it should go further to address the basic skills gap that many of our members may lack through no fault of their own. Our members have the right to opportunities that education can bring. This starts with good skills, quality training and access to development opportunities. The Tory government destroyed the Union Learning Fund in England, and it is important that we do not lose sight or seek longer-term solutions to plug the gap this has left. Education is the starting point and a core component of the entire trade union movement. We no longer have any Labour Education Institute colleges which delivered excellent education for the working class. Not one. This needs to change. We need to bring back colleges to continue educating, upskilling and supporting the working class to strive for a better life. Glasgow Trade Union Education College will be ending its partnership agreement with TUC at the end of July. Congress, this needs to stop. Funding must not be cut, and we need to continue to fight for this funding because future and current union reps deserve to receive first-class training and education. As is often said, education is power. Congress, please support.
Well done, Kim. And Wales and South West. I've missed a region out, haven't I? I know I have. Yeah. Go on then. I knew I'd done something wrong.
President Congress, Mike Wilson, GMB Wales and South West region. Speaking in support of the CEC statement on the future of trade union education. Really, firstly, just like to thank the CEC for its continued support of what we're doing in Wales with the Wales Union Learning Fund. It's all about giving our members an opportunity that they may have missed out at school. The team works very, very hard in making sure that it's what our members want, not what the employer wants. So we work, as I say, as a team, we work constantly and tirelessly on this, and we've supported members at Wilco, Everest Windows and many other organisations when they've been treated disgustingly by their employer. So as I say, in Wales, we'd like to think we're there or thereabouts, but there's always room for improvement. We have many case studies in which people have been made redundant, and we've been there for them and given them interview skills, CV writing, confidence building, and many of our members who have been made redundant in Wilco have found new jobs thanks partly to the support that we've been giving them. And it's not just about the high level stuff, it's at the level that the learner needs. Often that can be essential skills, but then that's the foundation to go on and build education, get that confidence, apply for that promotion that our members haven't had the confidence to apply for before. They got all the skills, but they haven't got that little bit of confidence, so we employ specialist tutors to come in and give them all those skills that they need and that confidence building to make that change in our members' lives. I'd just like really just also to thank our senior management team in the region. They give me all the support. I know when I talk to my opposite number in Unite in Wales, they don't get anything like the amount of support I do. We manage it locally. It's a fantastic team there. So thank you.
Michael. Can I just check, is there a region left to speak? I've lost track now. Every region spoken? Yeah? Good. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll now start the vote on the CEC statement. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Anyone against? That's carried. That does bring us to the end of Congress business. Thank you, everyone, for making the first day such a success. Just hold on before you leave. Thank you, everybody, for keeping to time. Please be in the hall in good time tomorrow because it does start at 9. And tonight there is the President and the Vice President's do in the Bournemouth Pavilion, Westover Road. The entrance apparently is opposite the Premier Inn. Doors will open at 8:45 for a 9 p.m. start. There won't be food, so you've got enough time to go and have something to eat, but there will be lots of dancing. So I'll see you there, and thank you, delegates. That concludes this afternoon's Congress.